Hello everyone, I hope you're doing fantastic. So in today's videos I'm gonna show you 10 ways that you can find free accommodation while traveling. So the first way to find free accommodation is probably the most obvious one, but I thought I would still mention it, and it's of course to travel with your own method of transport. It could be a van, a caravan, a car, or even just camping. And if you're new to this channel, you might not know I traveled in my van for 3 years, and that meant that for 3 years I had free accommodation, never spent a penny in campings even or hotels. So yeah, that's really the easiest way that you can travel for free. Obviously, if you are flying away to a faraway destination, you might not have a car or a van with you, and a lot of people, what they do is that they buy a van when they get there so that they can travel and have a place to stay. The pros are several. Obviously, you can go pretty much anywhere you want as long as it's legal. Obviously, not all countries allow wild camping or overnight parking. In some areas is not allowed, but overall it's relatively easy to find places to stay, and you can go pretty much anywhere. And so you're independent on accommodation because the accommodation is with you, so you can go anywhere, you don't have to worry about it, and it's absolutely free other than the initial investment of buying the van or the car or the tent. And the cons, of course, is that it's not as comfortable as a real accommodation, a real room. Obviously this depends on your van or your, camper van if you have any. If you have a huge touring camper van, then of course you're gonna be as comfortable as a house, but most people travel with kind of a basic van. Maybe they put a bed or a mattress in it, so it's obviously not as comfortable. You might not have access to shower and toilets and all of that. And also it can be, depending on where you are, it can be a hassle to find the spots to stay. As I said, not everywhere you can wild camp or overnight park, so you might have to do some research beforehand to know where you're gonna sleep at night, and that can add a layer of stress to your travel. The second one is Couchsurfing. So if you never heard of Couchsurfing, it's a site where people host people and people get hosted by people. That makes any sense. So there's lots of profiles around the whole world of people that are keen in giving you a bed or a couch, hence couch surfing, to stay overnight. It's usually for shorter term, for 1 or 2 days. You can also get longer terms, but it's usually for short stays. And it's totally free, and it's based on trust. So when you are looking for a accommodation in a certain town, you type the town that you're interested in, and then you get a bunch of profiles of people that are available on host, or people that want to maybe just meet up for coffee, and then you can message them and check if they are available on those dates and if they would like to host you. As I said, it is based on trust. In my experience, I have used this site, and all experiences have been positive, and that's because I had checked beforehand the profile, the pictures, made sure it's actual person, and that they had reviews. Reviews are very important. The pros is that it's obviously absolutely free. The next methods that I'm gonna list are more like work or service exchanges, while this one is totally free, and the only thing that you expected most of the times is just to spend some time with your host. And some hosts even just have emergency couch surfs, so you're only expected to go there at night and leave the morning. So some people would also offer that, so you're not even expected to spend any time with them. The second pro is of course that you usually meet a lot of locals, and they usually show you around, which is amazing. They often even cook for you, so it's really nice way to make friends in the city that you're going, not even just if you're traveling, but also if you're moving to a new city and you don't know anybody. Couchsurfing is a fantastic way to meet new people. And yeah, usually the people that are in there are really genuinely curious and nice and welcoming. And again, just make sure that you do your checks on the profile, check the reviews. The cons is that it's usually for shorter stays. So as I said, it's probably 1, 2, 3 days. If you think about it, if you were to host somebody in your house, you wouldn't want them hanging around there for too long, especially if they're not, contributing in any way. So yeah, it's usually for shorter stays. There are people that do offer longer ones, but I have no experience with that, and yeah, I don't know how it would work that way. You would expect that they would want something back if they're offering you, you know, a place to stay for a month or longer. And also it does take some planning and organization to find who is gonna host you, especially if it's short term, or if you're traveling to several places. Let's say you have like 3 towns booked for a week, then you would have to beforehand find who is gonna host you for that day, and you have to write quite a few emails and, you know, kind of organize your trip. And also you can't only rely on Couchsurfing. With my sister, we Couchsurfed in Paris, and one night we just could not find anybody that would, you know, host us. So at the end we had to go to a hotel, which wasn't nice at all, and we had to pay quite a bit of money for it. So yeah, you can't only rely on Couchsurfing, and know that people might have, you know, last minute changes and they might not be able to host you for that day. So yeah, that's part of the game, I suppose. Number 3 is house sitting. So I am currently house sitting, and it's my second house sit, and it's a long-term house sit. So this house sit currently is 3 months, and I'm so grateful for this house sit and for the one before. I'm currently in Canada and I'm really loving it. So if you don't know what house sitting is, it's again, there's different platforms online where you can find house sits. And basically what a house sit is you, let's say you have a house and you have some pets, or even not pets, but you have a house and you're living for a certain amount of time, and you need somebody to look after the house, either because you have plants that need watering, a garden, or you have pets, animals, or simply you want somebody to be in the house to keep it warm and to keep thieves away, because, you know, an empty house, it's an easy target. So what people look for is somebody to come into the house and take care of their house while they're gone. And again, this you can find house sits for 1 day, 2 days, which I find very weird, or, you know, from 2 months, 3 months, even 6 months, and all around the world. On the sites with the house sittings, you can filter it by state, by timing, by proximity to cities, also by the tasks that are involved. So for example, well, dog sitting or cat sitting or just plant watering, all of that kind of stuff. All you're expected is to take care of the house, treat it respectfully, and take care of the pets if there are any. So the pro is that obviously you get the whole house or flat and property for yourself with all the facilities. So you have to remember that people usually live in those properties, so there's gonna be books and instruments and, you know, cooking things, and you'll have like access to you know, everything like if you were in your own house. So that's really cool. It's great for longer stays. There are shorter ones of just a week, but you can also find 1 month, 3 months, 6 months long house sits, which is fantastic. And of course it doesn't require a lot of work. Again, it depends on the property, but most property, they just need, you know, to feed the dog, walk the dog, maybe just feed the cat. Cats are pretty independent, so you don't need to do much, and just maintain the house warm and clean. And that's, you know, that's not a lot to ask really. And the cons is that, of course, it needs to be planned quite ahead, especially for long-term house sits. For me, the first house sit and the second house sits were planned 3 months ahead, so I had to look quite a while before to organize the house sit. There's a lot of you know, emails and maybe calls and maybe Skype calls to kind of make sure that you're both okay with the terms and that you're comfortable with the, you know, the deal. Also, you often need your own method of transport. That a lot of people ask that, especially if they have pets. I think it's because just in case, you know, you need to go to the vet, at least you have a means to bring them to the vet. If it's a city flat or they don't have any pets, then maybe you're fine without your own car. But most people do ask for you know, having your own transport method, especially in rural locations. Here I'm in Canada, in the middle of nowhere, so if we didn't have our own car, I wouldn't know, you know, it would be impossible to have had this job. And also often, not always, but often hosts look for older people and couples. So that's obviously because the older you are, the more responsible you're supposed to be, although that's not always the case. But I guess it's more reassuring for people to have an older person or couple doing the house sit, because that means most of the time no partying, no drugs, you know, it's just more reliable. And people often look for couples, especially for longer house sits, just in case something happens to you, need to go to the hospital, or you know, there's an emergency in your family, you need to go back. Having two people makes it more, yeah, easy to take care of the house, and if anything happens, then at least there's one person that can stay in the house. So yes, I'm sure that you could find a house sit if you are by yourself and you're on the younger side. You just need to maybe have more references and just overall have a really good profile, detailed profile, and show that you're a responsible, mature person and that you can be trusted with somebody's house and pets. So number 4 is work exchanges, such as Wwoofing and Workaway, or volunteering. So this is just a way to get free accommodation, obvious, and often free meals in exchange of 4 to 6 hours of work a day. For the Wwoofing is a site where you can find mainly people that have organic farms that need help, and then you have other sites like Helpx and Workaway, where it could be farms, it could be B&Bs, it could be yoga schools. It's very varied, and they need people to do different tasks, again in exchange of free accommodation and most often food. I have done this in the past. I both used the Workaway site and the Wwoofing site, and I worked mainly in farms. This is, I think, one of the coolest way that you can travel and have free accommodation, because you get to learn a skill. You might already have that skill, or you might implement that skill, but you get to know so much about the place that you're staying, and you have a lot of variety of what you can learn. It's worldwide, so Wwoofing has sites for every country, which is kind of annoying, but so you have to subscribe. Wwoofing, you need to pay a little bit for the membership to have access to your profile, and for every country there's a different site, so you need to pay for every country that you need to go. So it's a bit of a bummer, but the places are usually, I'd say, high quality placements, especially if you're interested in organic farming. And Workaway, again, it's a payment platform and you pay yearly, but you have access to worldwide placements, and again, they're more varied, so it could be even hostels and things like that. The process, I said, is that you learn skills that you might not have before. So you get free accommodation, free meals, and you also get to learn. So it's pretty cool. And you also get to meet a lot of people, unless you're the only woofer or workaway there, but that's quite rare. Also, you can get longer term placements as well. Most Workaway and Wwoofing placements will want somebody that stays for 2+ weeks, just because by the time you learn what the duties are and you get comfortable with each other and with the tasks, then you know, it takes at least a week for you to get to know what you need to do. So for them, it makes more sense to have a longer term worker. And the cons is that obviously you work from 4 to 6 hours a week and 5 to 6 days a week, so you do need to work quite a bit to get your free accommodation. And so it means that it leaves not much time for other things, especially if the work is quite intensive, so you might be tired after it and not want to do much else. And a lot of those farms are maybe in rural places, so if you don't have a car, it might be hard for you to go explore, go like to the neighboring town, if you don't have your own method of transport. And the accommodation can be sometimes very basic, so it's important that you know what you need from your placement and make sure that you get that met, because in some places you might not have access to a normal bathroom or to showers, or you know, you might share your room with 10 other people, so you need to be quite flexible and yeah, check before what your accommodation is gonna be like and what the work is gonna be like. And I'm realizing this video is gonna be very long because I'm rambling a lot, but I hope this helps to give you an insight on, you know, all the different ways that you can travel even if you're not a millionaire. Fifth thing is, of course, being an au pair, and this is a really old way to travel, and it's a really common one, especially for girls and people that have just ended school and they want kind of a gap between maybe high school and university, or even during summer holidays if you're still in school. So au pair is, of course, when you go into a family to take care most often of the kids, so it can be 1 to, I don't know, 15 kids, so it depends on the placement. And usually you get free accommodation and free meals in exchange for taking care of the kids, and sometimes also of the house, some maybe cleaning tasks and things like that. So it's obviously good for longer term placements. Obviously a family doesn't want you there just for 2 weeks, you know, the kids need to get to know you and things like that. So it's good for longer term placements, and it's also good for younger people, just because families are usually looking for young girls, most likely, and they're not expecting, you know, somebody with a lot of references or that has a lot of work experience. They're looking for somebody that's, you know, flexible and just a friendly person that can take care of the kids, really. Also, one pro is that sometimes you do get remuneration. Actually, I think most au pair do get remuneration, so you may get a bit of pocket money every week for your services, and also for you to go and explore the city and things like that. Cons, I am personally never done au pair for different reasons, but I had a lot of friends that have done it, and the experience that I got from it, I don't want to, you know, put anybody out of au pair, because I'm sure there's a lot of families that are fantastic and you can make lifelong friends and new families through au pair. But from the experience that I heard from my friends, maybe they weren't really lucky, but it's really hard to fit in the family dynamics when you're not from the family, you don't know them, and being thrown in the family straight away and having to take care of these kids. I think it takes quite a bit of time for you to get used to the dynamics, and because you are a stranger in a family's house, and yeah, it takes the right person and the right family for it to work, and a bit of time to get accustomed to how it works. So you need to be, I think, very flexible and adaptable, and yeah, and have a bit of luck, I think, as well with the family that you're going into. You might have to do things that you don't agree with, especially with the kids. You might not agree with the way that the kids are brought up, or with the things that they eat, or, you know, there's a lot of things that you have no control on, and you kind of have to just follow what the parents are used to do. So that can be hard as well. And also the timing of your tasks might be, they might say that you just need to work 3 hours a day, but the 3 hours are not all together. So they might be get kids ready for school and prepare breakfast, and then go pick up kids at school, give them lunch, and then bring them back to school, and then, you know, cook dinner and put them to bed, which sounds like just 3 hours, cool, but you have to think that the rest of your time is not necessarily, you might not go out of the house because you only have 3 hours before you need to come back. So you might not have, you know, you think you're not working a lot, but actually you are always around the house because you need to be there for those times. So it might be hard for you to go out and meet new people and explore the city if you need to be back in the house every few hours. And yeah, because a lot of the times young girls that do au pair, I think that they might get a little bit exploited for their services. I think that a lot of girls that get to au pair are a bit naive, and they think it's just like a trip where you're gonna get to explore a lot, but actually you find that most of the time you're in the house to take care of the kids. So again, I don't want to put off anybody from au pair, because I think it's really cool, especially for younger girls and boys. I'm saying girls just because babysitting is usually a girl thing, but it doesn't have to be. I think you need to be very inquisitive with the family, have a lot maybe of Skype calls, and kind of feel it out, and maybe even get your parents involved if you're very, very young, to kind of get a feel of what they think, because you're gonna be very far, most likely very far away from home, and sometimes there's girls that get into really not cool situations, and because they're naive and very young, they don't quite know how to react. So that's that. 6 is house swap. And I have never tried this just because I have never owned a house, but basically you might have guessed, if you do own a house, you can swap it with somebody else. And this is pretty cool because, again, you don't need to work really for it. The only thing that you need to do is to trust for somebody to live in their house, and you to live in their house and maintain their house. And again, you get the whole property, like house sitting, and it's for minimal or zero work, because I suppose that if you're house swapping, it's unlikely that they have pets for you to care of, unless you have to pets to care of. But yeah, you see what I mean. But the con is obviously that you need to own a house, and not a lot of people, I mean of my age anyway, have a house. And also you need to find somebody that has a house where you would like to be, and they have to like your house, so it's double, you know. We both have to be happy with the location and the house itself for it to work, and also the timing. So it does need to, I think it must need quite a bit of luck for everything to match for you to be able to swap the house. But other than that, it sounds like a pretty cool method. Number 7 is another very popular one, like doing au pair, and it's Hostel Work. So most hostels, they swap work for free accommodation. So you might need to do 3 hours a day of cleaning the rooms, or reception work, or bartending. Those are the most popular ones, and in exchange you get your free accommodation. So the pros is that hostels are usually central to cities, so you'll be very close to the vicinity of towns, and you know, you don't need your own method of transport. You can just rely on public transport most of the times anyway, and that you get to meet lots of people. Like, I can't think of a better place to get to meet lots of people than hostels. The cons is that the accommodation is usually very, very basic. You don't get your own room or anything like that. In hostels you might have, especially if you're staying longer term or longer time, you might have a staff room, but even a staff room, there will be at least 6 people in bunk beds. So yeah, you definitely don't have as much privacy as other ways of, you know, accommodation. And also you might need some time to work at night. I personally have worked in a hostel, not for very long, in London, the reception at night in exchange of free accommodation. And again, I was in a room with about 6 or 10 girls, I don't remember, and as I was doing night shift, then when I would go to bed, it would mean that they were waking up. So it was just a nightmare to get some sleep, because there was always people coming in, coming out, and, you know, slamming doors and making a lot of noise. So for me, it didn't last very long, but I think it's a really, really cool way to get free accommodation, especially if you're doing a lot of city tours and you're more like central. You need that central accommodation to towns and, you know, places of interest and that kind of thing. Number 8 is a super cool one that who knows, maybe I'll get to try. I never tried it so far, but it's being a boat crew or yacht crew. And so basically what it is, a lot of people that travel in boats or yachts might need crew to cook, to clean, or to babysit as well. You get free accommodation and travel as well, because, you know, they go around those boats, they don't stay in one place, in exchange for your services. Obviously you don't have to be seasick, because otherwise you would hate that job, but the pros is that it's obviously an experience of a lifetime. You're gonna be able to say that you know, served in a yacht for like a month in the Mediterranean. It just sounds very dreamy. And also you have minimal to zero expenses while you're on the boat. While if you were in a hostel or au pair or anything like that, you are still gonna have little things that you buy now and then, or like taking transport and things like that. While when you're on a boat, you're not gonna spend any money, so it's pretty cool. And often you also get a little pocket money, but again, it depends on the situation and on what your tasks are. The cons are that you obviously need to get very well along with the crew, because if you don't get along with the crew or with the captain, then you're gonna have a horrible time. So it's important that you get to know them before embarking a journey, especially if it's a long one, because you're gonna be stuck with them in that boat for a long time. And yeah, you're gonna be in a small space unless it's a massive yacht, but I don't think I think it's rare to find positions for big yachts. So it's usually smaller boats that post those positions, so you usually have a very, very tiny cabin. You obviously need to be good with, you know, motion, and yeah, you just need to be very adaptable and flexible and not suffer from, how do you say that when you're in closed space? I forgot, but you know what I mean. So yeah, you need to be okay with small spaces and sharing a small space. Number 9 is another one that I haven't tried, is staying in a monastery or temple. Again, there are a lot of small monasteries or temple that would welcome you in for a certain period of time, 2 weeks, a month, to share their religion or faith with you. So if you're interested in a specific faith or religion, you can go and stay at those temples. Sometimes they do ask for contribution, but most of them are, you know, free, and they often ask you at the end of the stay maybe to do a contribution. So the pro is, of course, that you really immerse yourself to this environment. And again, I guess it really depends on the kind of monastery or temple, because there's some temples where you don't talk to each other or things like that, but there are also temples where you must get to know a lot of people that maybe share your same interests. So it must be a very deep experience. But the cons is, of course, that you are expected to abide to the rules, and you might not have as much downtime as other placements, because you're probably expected to be, you know, in the temple or monastery. It's not like you have days off, or like, you know, you only work 4 hours a week. It's more like a lifestyle, so you're probably expected to be most of the day in the temple and to help out and doing courses and that kind of stuff. And the last one is one that I actually didn't know about it, but it sounds like a really cool idea, and it's to teach a language or skill to a host in exchange of accommodation. So you get to stay in somebody's house and get free accommodation, most often also food, in exchange of lessons on different things. So it could be, you know, French, or, you know, Russian, or it could be even cooking, or it could be, you know, guitar lessons. So you get to teach someone what you know in exchange of accommodation. So it's usually, you know, 1 hour, 2 hours a day, so it's very, very little work in exchange for accommodation, which is cool. And also you get to teach what you enjoy, but the con is that you need to be comfortable with teaching a skill, and you need to have a skill, which I'm sure anybody of us has a skill that can teach to somebody. If you are a good teacher and you're keen in spending time with somebody to teach them what you know, then this could be a really cool way to find free accommodation as well. So those were the 10 free accommodation methods that I am aware of. I'm sure that there's lots more that I haven't covered, and if you know of any different ones, then please leave them on the comment below. I would love to hear what you have to say. And if you have tried any of those sites or platforms to find free accommodation, if you have any tips, suggestions on how to make it a good experience, then again, leave it down below, and I shall see you very soon. Bye bye.